You know how hard it is going to sleep every night, scared to close your eyes because you feel like if you wake up, she might be gone. Do you know how difficult that is? That puts your life into perspective. You start seeing life differently. Imagine all you want in this world is to know that your daughter can pass away peacefully in your arms. I was just asking God, let go peacefully and let it be in my arms. Do you know what started this whole journey? It was the moment when I had to write my daughter's eulogy. That, I can't explain how difficult that was. I'd have groups of kids that left school coming in cars to try and attack me.
Really?
Not for anything, just because I had this colour skin. I was going around my house, like down the side of the sofa, looking for change, I was putting £3.25 in my Mercedes, bro. I had no money, I had nothing.
Welcome to Under the Surface. We're on a quest with Original Penguin and Calm, the campaign against living miserably, to uncover powerful and unheard stories of how people have overcome adversity and dealt with the stigma surrounding mental health. We'll hear from people from the worlds of music, sports, comedy, and everything in between, who, despite having an incredible career in the public eye, are having their own personal battles in their private lives. Because you never know the full story of what's going on for someone under the surface.
Warning, this podcast contains references to issues which some people may find distressing. Search Campaign Against Living Miserably for support and advice.
Hello, welcome along to Series 3, Episode 2 of Under the Surface with myself, Adam Smith, and Marvin Sordell, alongside Campaign Against Living Miserably and Original Penguin. Delighted to say joining us on the podcast today is Ashley Cain. Ashley, we've been trying to get you on for a while. So firstly, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant to have you on. We obviously know your story, and you've been so brave in sharing it and so inspirational as well. But with this podcast, we always start chronologically. So if it's okay with you, I wanted to start the podcast by talking about your childhood and your upbringing and your memories of those times.
Where do I start? I mean, one thing I can say about me, I've got an absolutely amazing family. You know, I'm mixed race, so my dad's black, my mum's white. So I've got this like great mix of both cultures, which I think from day one gave me a really well-rounded kind of knowledge of, you know, different people, different cultures, different environments. And it was great. I say that, you know, my mom's side of the family was very loving, caring, nurturing, you know, always like so positive and thinking that, you know, you can do anything that you want to do. My dad's side of the family was lively, loud, full of energy, and extremely competitive. I mean, there's just loads of us. Do you know what I mean? And they're all like me. Everyone's high octane, everyone's got energy, but everyone's competing. And I think, you know, I've got my kind of, you know, self-confidence and self-belief and comfortability factor and loving nature from my mom's side. But then I've got this like great energy and uplifting kind of nature and competitiveness from my dad's side. So it was just a great mix. I started playing football young, but I did every sport.
Did you? Yeah.
I would just, you know, I was ranked 1 in the UK for 100 and 200 meters. You know, as a junior, I ran 100 meters in 10.8 seconds at 15.
Wow.
You know, played football for Coventry City. Obviously, played against this man quite a few times.
Go on, tell us about that. Your memories of, we're going to talk about football. You played against Marvin, the man.
Yeah.
Sat next to me. What was that like?
So, to be honest, like, obviously, Marvin played for Watford. When I seen his name on the sheet, I thought, geez, it's going to be good today because I'm going to get to reminisce a bit. But he's probably the one that I remember from that side. And it's got to be, like 16, 17 years ago.
Yeah,
wow.
long time
We used
ago.
to play against each other. You know, I can't really remember whether we used to get the better of you or the other way around.
Oh, we used to get the better of you.
Huh?
You got the
We used to
better.
get better of you, yeah.
Listen. That's a different, you got humble man here.
Straight to it.
I was giving him a chance.
honest.
You know, I was giving him a chance
We're
to deliver some honesty.
Straight away, modest there.
I never remembered Watford being a competitive team for us. Do you know what I mean? If I'm honest, you know what I'm saying? I feel like they were a turnover team, but you know, I was trying to be gentle. You know,
Whereas you, Marv, straight in.
I mean, this
the
is calm. I was trying to be calm with it, but yeah. So
unbelievable.
So yeah. I just love sport. It was really strange actually, because it's like at school. So I got like 14 GCSEs. I took 4 a year early.
Wow.
It wasn't like I was well behaved at school. I had a lot of trouble at school.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could just go into exams with a pencil, not even know what exam was. Someone had to give me a calculator or something else and I could pass. But I guess like, school was a bit of a mad time for me because, you know, I lived in an area at the time, you know, because my mum and dad both worked. So I used to kind of go back to my nan's and granddad. So I used to go to school in a place called Bedworth. There wasn't really any people of colour there. You know, my school had like 1,800 kids, so it was a big school. It was in special measures, so it probably wasn't the best school. And there was no people, you know, of colour. So as much as I used to kind of get on at school and I would say I was quite popular, with the older kids, so like 2 years above, 3 years above, or people that left school, I used to turn up to school, bro, with my trainers in my bag. And when the final bell used to ring, I used to put my trainers on and decide which gate I'm going to run out of. Wow. That's how I started running. I used to run miles home from school every day. You know what I mean? Because I'd have groups of kids that left school coming in cars to try and attack me.
Really?
Not for anything, just because I had this colour skin. Wow. And I'm saying like, this is like a daily thing. I'm saying I would be fighting in school. Not just one person, it could be 2, 3, 4. I'll be getting jumped in the town, you know, from it being a little kid. And, you know, like I used to go home to my nan, so it wasn't like I used to want to tell my nan, I didn't want to trouble them. And like, this has gave me like a pretty mad perspective going forward about kind of like, you know, mental health and stuff, yeah? And the balance of it, because, you know, when I was younger, I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what stress was. I didn't know what depression was. All I knew is that I had to go to school the next day. And this has gave me a great view of things to come, because I think you've got different options in that situation. Number one, I wouldn't want any kid to go through what I went through in school, like being attacked, could be weapons, could be multiple people, could be everything, daily, yeah. But I know from that situation, yeah, there's 2 ways to look at that, yeah. I could be a victim and I could, you know, use the rest of my life blaming that what happened to me. I could be like, I feel this way because of that. I feel that way because of that. I could always deflect back onto that. Or I could think, you know what, yeah, I was strong enough to get through that. You know, I was fearless. I was brave. I had resilience. I don't look back at that situation and think, I wish it never happened to me, as strange as it sounds. Wow. I don't look back at that situation and think, I wish it was different. I look back at that situation and, you know, maybe it was the start of something. Maybe it was necessary to endure all the things that I've had to endure since. That's a crazy thing. Wow. I think we have options how to look at things, you know, and I think if we can try a bit more in this world of, you know, taking your glass as being half full rather than half empty, I think it'll help people go a long way. So that was kind of me at school. But because it was crazy. Imagine, yeah. So the family that I was like with and living with the most was, you know, I was around my nan's side, but then I used to go to my dad's side most of the time. That's where I always was. Or I'd be at football, and you know the COV team, it was for the mixed race and black kids, right? So it's like I'm around my black family, my black dad, my black cousins, my mixed race cousins, my mixed race brothers, all the uncles, whatever. I'm going to football, which is surrounded by like mixed race and black kids from Birmingham, Coventry cities. And I go to school, and I would say, which is mad, that I probably identified as being more black than I was white. But then I was in school with all white people who weren't willing to accept my kind of culture and who I was, which was crazy.
Crazy to hear that, isn't it, Marvin? That you were saying attacks like regularly and at a young age as well. I mean, do you
know the funny thing was, in my year, I never had a problem. Even really the year above, because I wouldn't just run. Like, I would have a go. You know, I'd always dig in and have a go. So people used to have to think about it, like, oh yeah, is it a good day to try and get Ash today? You know what I mean? So it was always older people. So around me, there was like some great people at school. I had some great friends, and a lot of the teachers like really liked me. Do you know what I mean? But it was just an occasion of like, you know, like some certain people who probably thought they could try it would try it. You know?
Did you ever speak to your dad about it?
Yeah. So my dad was very much like, and this is another thing, perspective. I think perspective is great in life. Yeah. because I did speak to my dad about it. You know, I think, you know, my dad was a very, very, very tough man. You know, if you walk around where I'm from and people talk to you about my dad, they never say like he was a bad person. You know, they always say like, yo, your dad. But they'd always say he's a man of honor, respect. Yeah. But I remember like one time I almost had a phone call. There was a call on the house phone. Imagine this, yeah. Someone's got my house number. This was how mad it got. So people, so you know, like back in the day, you used to like, you've had a girl, like you get the house number, wouldn't you? And it's 6 o'clock at night. So these people must have been known or speaking to this girl, must have pressured her into giving my house number up. And I get a call and I answered the call, and it was like a kid that was like probably 6 years older than me. I'm probably like 14 or 13. It's like a kid that was like 19 or something. And he was like basically telling me that, you know, when I go back to school, they're getting me and all this. And I feel like my dad was in the next room, but he could hear. He was like, yo, Ash, who's that? And I was like, basically, it's this kid and this is what he said. And I remember me going, well, time to fucking try it then. You know what I mean? And I was like, so I rang him back and said it. You know what I mean?
You rang him back, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just rang the number back and said it. But, you know, I think there might have been an occasion before when my dad's actually gone to a parents of someone's house. But it wasn't something that I said to him. Because I knew that his upbringing, I knew that he had worse.
Interesting.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? I know that his parents, when they come out, they had worse. You know? And so then, how can I be the victim? Do you know
How
what I
did
mean?
that make you feel though? Because like, we look up to our parents, we idolize. They're our first heroes. They're the people we idolize, and so they're also the people we look to for protection. And so like, in a situation like that where you're feeling, even though you're managing and you're getting through it and you feel strong, you still want that layer of someone's there for me, having my back.
Do you know what it is? I knew that one thing about my dad, right, he'd always be there for me. And the thing is, I think the scary thing was about my dad, it's kind of like you're thinking, yo, listen, I don't want to tell this guy because I know that not only is he going to have my back, but there's going to be absolute chaos. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I did look up to my dad in the fact that, you know, my dad is one of the most consistent people you will ever meet. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, like he's not like he doesn't have moods. He's not, one day he's extremely down, one day he's extremely up. He's very consistent with the people that he loves and that he cares about, you know. And I did look up to him because he was a strong man. I know that he had to work for everything that he's got. I know that his life, especially in the early days, wasn't easy. And I know that, you know, my dad's got, you know, 5 kids with 4 different women, but he's always looked after all of his kids. No matter what, they come first. Do you know what I mean? In that sense. So I did look up to him, and I did feel like I had protection. I'll tell you something. Yeah, there was one day when I was like, "Yo, this is a bit too much now. Like, I think this is literally a bit too much for me." You know what I mean? And I remember like I had calls that there's going to be a lot of kids outside the gate. Yeah, so I just rang my brother, I rang my cousin, and that. And then when school had finished, there was like 80 people, 80 like all my family and like some friends outside the gate, and it was just like something off a film. Like it's like Green Street. We just marched the street, yeah. And then after that day, I never had no trouble again.
Literally from that point on, no trouble.
Because we seen it. A lot of the people that are going to wait for me in the town, and they didn't want no trouble anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet. It's sad to hear that though at a young age. You were saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, you said you're 13.
13,
at the
14.
time, and you're doing nothing wrong and you're getting people waiting outside the gate. I mean, it's just to even imagine that. So with regards...
But I don't even, you know what it is? This is my mentality, yeah. When I was writing my book, so I'm writing a book, I've got a book coming out. And then the ghostwriter was like, so, you know, you got bullied? And I was like, nah. And he's like, I know, but you had it. And I went, yeah. And he went, so you got bullied? I went, nah. I don't see it like that. I don't see it like that. Wow. And it's enough. One thing about me, I can acknowledge and accept a lot of things. I can talk honestly about it. So I'm not in denial. It's just that that's not how I choose to see it. You know, I choose not to be a victim of that situation. I choose that I'm going to be the victor of that situation. I choose that, you know what, going forward, I'm going to be strong and resilient because of what happened to me. I choose that I'm not going to be bitter. I'm going to be better. I choose that, you know, when I have something bad happen to me, I hope, I pray, and I work on being strong enough to get through it so I can tell other people, not like it's okay, but you know what, you'll get through it. We can get through it. I got through it. You know what I mean? You'll be all right. And I can tell people what I did.
Yeah, it's an amazing mindset that you have, and I think I want to talk about your daughter. Obviously, the story is it's so powerful, emotional. There's so many words that come up, and the one thing I want to start by saying is I don't want to ask you anything that you're not comfortable talking with. Obviously, it's a very deep and moving story, and also it's so empowering with how you've helped other people. So, I suppose the first thing I wanted to ask, and only if you're comfortable sharing, but can you start?
Listen, you're giving me an opportunity to talk about my daughter. Never apologise about that.
Can you start by, just for those who might not know your story, just talking about Azalea and her birth and how you felt, and obviously her diagnosis as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, I was a person that was always gifted. I got given a good brain. I got given good physical attributes. I've got a big heart. I've got a great family. I was gifted. After I retired from football, which was very early, I had quite a few, 5 operations, etc., etc. I turned into a person that wasn't really me. I was, don't get me wrong, I was still a good person. I still love my family. I was still great, but I got wrapped up into this kind of reality TV world, which is great, by the way. If any other 20-year-old boy lived my life in their 20s, they'd have a great time. Trust me. Do you know what I mean? But let's put, I was on TV. I traveled the world, DJing, all of this crazy life. But I found myself getting lost. Yeah,
without a purpose. You mean?
I had zero purpose.
Yeah. Do you think that was down to the fact that you maybe didn't? Because I speak to a lot of football players around this, and their loss of purpose when they come out of the game, essentially before they're ready and before they've actually accepted that's going to happen. Do you think that was a big part in because football for probably the majority of your early life was your purpose? That's all you know. It's ingrained in you. And so when your purpose in terms of football gets taken away, do you think that was a big part, or was it something else?
I was one of the people that my exit from football was pretty strange, because I went over and played in Romania, and I was in between a contract, So I snapped my Achilles. So that was my last final operation. I had to get a bloody taxi from Hungary to Romania, fly back from Romania to London, go back home, then go back next day to have my Achilles surgery. Now, I snapped my Achilles bad. My Achilles was rolled up into the back of my knee. That's how bad it was, through my calf, So I had the best surgeon in the world, Professor Mafuli. Barcelona were there when I was getting my surgery done. But it was yo, you ain't really going to be able to walk for a year, done. That affected me more than knowing that I was never going to play again. Because for me, when people ask me, yo, do you miss football? And I said, look, you could be going out with the best looking girl in the world, but if she keeps on cheating on you, one day you're going to fall out of love with her. And I was on the couch for 6 months a year, sometimes 8 months a year. I just fell out of love with it. So it wasn't you're correct in the sense that I was yo, what the hell am I going to do now? But first and foremost, I was thinking, I need to walk first. It was more than what am I going to do? It was I need to walk. I'll tell you something, bro. I went to a point, so I had, where I was living, all that kind of stuff. I got to a point that when I retired, bro, because I couldn't walk on nothing, and I was out for so long, I was going around my house, down the side of the sofa, looking for change, I was putting £3.25 in my Mercedes, bro. I had no money. I had nothing. Had no money. I went to really bad financial state, And another way that I started running was because if I wanted to go see my grandma, I had to fucking run. If I wanted to go see my dad, I had to run. If I wanted to go train at the gym when my leg was bad, I had to run there. I didn't have no money to put in my car. But by any means necessary, I knew that I needed to do these things. I knew that, if I keep talking about this isn't fair and, why I'm in this situation, I'm always going to be there. So we're just if I had to run, I'll run. If I had to get changed from down the sofa, I'll get changed from down the sofa. I used to make out that, even sometimes I used to go around to my nan's every day, go around home, because I'm thinking I went to see people, because I'm thinking, that's how I'm getting my food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, Nan, you right? How you doing today? Yeah, I'm okay. Oh, you come out and see me every day this week. I'm thinking, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Can you cook me some food? I mean?
Yeah. So that's how it was. So, they say something that's called region beta paradox, yeah. It's like sometimes that you can recover quicker from a worse situation than you kind of less worse one. So not only was I exited from football, but I was like that low that it ignited like some kind of movement in me to be strong and resilient. I had more problems to worry about than me not playing football anymore. I was in survival mode. Do you get me? So I get what you're saying. And yeah, I in my life had a lack of purpose. Like I had a lack of purpose. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I wanted to go. And then that's when I fell into TV. The maddest thing is for me, when I play football, I wasn't even like one of these guys that was on social media, nothing. I used to think I hate social media.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I didn't want to be like a social media star. I got social media because I went on a show and it was required and deals were coming in. And
Okay.
But yeah, so I had I would have said then a great life.
DJing as well, reality TV, football. You did a lot in your 20s,
Modeling,
yeah.
business, DJing, reality TV, touring the world, everything. But I felt lost. I thought I had it all, and my daughter made me realize that I had nothing, you know. And I got to a point, obviously when I got my ex-partner, and I was like, yo, I'm ready, you know, because I've got such a big and beautiful family. I wanted a family of my own. That's all I wanted. And I got myself, you know, financially stable. I got myself in a point in my head where I wasn't craving any of this madness anymore because I wanted my little girl. I worked really hard to get like, you know, a nice bit of cash in the bank so we'd be okay. And I had my beautiful daughter, Azalea, you know. When I had Azalea, I'd been through so much in my life that was like a roller coaster that the first time I held her in my arms, I just felt like I had everything. I thought, you know, all these things that I was searching for in my life before couldn't even come close to equating to this. I thought, this is it now. This is my life. I know my direction. I know what I want to be. My goal now in this world is to be the best daddy in the world. That's way better than any accolade or any achievement that I've done before. This little girl was the best thing I could have ever done on this planet. So I was living the dream then, but I was living the dream for, you know, 2 months before, you know, I found out that Azalea had AML leukemia. Azalea, like, she was struggling breathing, so based on diagnosis, she was struggling to breathe, like she was very stuffy. You know, this was during COVID.
Yeah.
So you can't just go to the doctor. So, you know, you contact the doctor and it's like, oh, mom, you know, get one of those pumps that you suck the snot out of baby's nose.
Yeah.
Then it was like, oh, she's constipated, so you're going to get constipation and medication. Oh, she's probably got colic. They're saying all of these things until one day, like Sophia, like seeing on her stomach, like this purple raised lump. And we didn't know what that was, but we knew that it wasn't good. We kept getting turned away from the doctor, it's this, it's that, it's this, to the point where we're like, yo, listen, we need our daughter to be seen. And as soon as, you know, they seen that, she got rushed into hospital. And I remember being there, and I was already working out the situation. I was already saying to myself, like, if the doctors come back in and tell me to sit down, I know it's bad. So I made a point of standing up. You know, all that time we're waiting to get the diagnosis. I stood up because I couldn't wait. I needed to know. So I stood up on purpose because I thought if they tell me to sit down, I know it's not good. So then they told me to sit down, and then, you know, we got the diagnosis that she got AML leukemia, and I literally felt like someone had just ripped, you know, everything out of my body. I actually felt quite embarrassed at how I reacted. I was just in tears. I couldn't really function initially. Saf was absolutely great. In that first initial moment, Saf was great because I just went to pieces. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't focus. I couldn't see properly. I couldn't see. Because how do you take that news, you know? And then from that day, then we got transferred to Birmingham Children's Hospital, and that was our life. You know, we're in a room it's not as big as this, probably a quarter of the size of this, for 6 months. Wow. Couldn't go see mom, couldn't go see dad, couldn't see friends, couldn't see family. It's COVID, it's a pandemic. You're in a room. I wasn't even allowed to be in the room the same time as Saf. So we literally had a hotel over the road, and we used to do like half a day each, and me and Saf would just come down from hospital and hotel. How you doing? You okay? Yeah, good, thank you. Like that. That's what it was for 6 months, just like this.
Wow.
And that's gave me a different appreciation for life. You know, I look at it and, you know, people are sat at home, you know, saying, oh, COVID. And it was bad. Trust me, it was bad. Yeah. But I was in a hospital room looking at my little girl every second of every day, whether she's crying, whether she's smiling, and I'm staring at her, and she could be looking at me with the most beautiful smile in the world, and it breaks my heart because I knew that she didn't know that she's got an illness that's tearing away her body and is probably going to be the end of her. And you know how hard it is fearing every second of every day that could be your last second, that could be your last minute, that could be your last hour, that could be your last day. Do you know how hard it is going to sleep every night, scared to close your eyes because you feel like if you wake up, yeah, she might be gone. Do you know how difficult that is? Do you know how difficult it is seeing your precious little girl who's a ray of sunshine, getting surgeries, getting wires put in her, getting chemotherapy? That's why I used to stand with her. If her chemotherapy is going for 3 hours, I used to hold her for 3 hours just so she knew that I was there. You know what I mean? That's difficult. You could have took my life. You could have tortured me for the rest of my life. You could have took, I'm not afraid to say, you could have took people from my family. Don't take that little girl. Anything but that. That puts your life into perspective. You start seeing life differently. Every second's important. Living in the present is crucial. Everything after, everything that happened before, you can't do nothing about. Everything in the future is not here yet. What have you got right here, right now? And that's what that situation taught me. It also taught me that you've got this little girl that's battling cancer and she can smile every day. She can get up. She's got one of the most rare aggressive forms of cancer and she's going for it. What excuse have I got? Why can't I smile every day? You know, she inspired me to be strong. She inspired me to be brave. She inspired me to smile even through the toughest of times. She taught me that, you know, love really does conquer all. Because with that love, I had the most magical, special, heartfelt 8 months of my life during the toughest time I'll ever experience. How crazy is that?
Should have been smiling every single day, every moment. It's the amazing thing about children is that they don't know what we know. They don't understand what we understand in that, like, she was suffering from something that was taking away every inch of her moment by moment, and yet she would still be smiling. And the pain that you feel and you express is a lot more than she would because she doesn't understand. And I think we can learn, and as so many people have said, we can learn so much from children. You know, you look into their eyes and their soul and you just feel such a richness. Like, I look at my children and, you know, it doesn't matter what's going on. They're just smiling. I could have the worst day in the world. They come home and they're smiling. And they don't care about anything of the fact that everything is play. Everything is enjoyment. And so, like, in terms of, like, the richness and the experience and what they teach you and the perspective that gives you, like, there's nothing comparable.
Yeah, there's nothing comparable. And like I say, a lot of things it's about perspective. You know, if you ask a healthy man, like, what does he want? Yeah, he'll go, no, I want a house, I want a car, I want, you know, a good job, I want money, I want those women, I want this, blah, 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 blah. If you ask an unhealthy man, what does he want? Health.
So true.
So, you know, if a situation isn't life-threatening to you or me, everything else effectively can be relatively trivial. We can work with it. We can work around it. We can get through it. That's what I learned. Being on that journey with my daughter, you know, in there, it put everything to a baseline. So I just don't give myself too many options. I said something recently on Instagram, yeah. I said, if you're dropped in the ocean, yeah, and you're drowning, yeah, you're drowning, you're not thinking about, the person that is trolling you. You're not thinking about money. You're not thinking about, your lack of confidence. You're not thinking about your anxiety. You're not thinking about your depression. You're not thinking about what happened to you last year. All you're thinking is kick, kick to keep your head above the water. Now, in my life, I never give myself too many options. If you give yourself too many options, you give yourself too many excuses. You give yourself a lot of reasons why not to do something rather than the reasons why to do something. When realistically, life, if you want to break it down to the fine line, it can be very black and white. In my situation, my daughter, yeah, I knew no matter how much I wanted to, yeah, I wanted to take that illness away. I couldn't. I wanted to transfer it to me. I couldn't. I wanted to know that she was going to be okay in the end. I couldn't. All I knew and all I said to Saf is, yo, listen, the only thing that we can control in this situation is the environment around our daughter. Yeah? So if that's the one thing that we can control, we are going to do that to the best of our ability. This room is Club 100. When we cross this line, yeah, this is strength, this is positivity, this is fun, this is enjoyment, because we have to cherish these memories and we have to make her feel like she's a little princess in Wonderland. That's all we can control, so that's what we do.
I was going to ask you about that. So firstly, sorry if I got a bit emotional there, but just listening to your story and seeing how brave you are telling it, it just made me very emotional. So firstly, thank you for sharing it. But you speak so much about positivity, and I've seen you talk about, even during that difficult moment, you said exactly that, we have to be positive. But how difficult was that to every day to be positive? And was the reason behind that because you wanted your daughter to see you happy all the time?
I'll be honest, right? So it started off, I think everything in life can be, it's habitual, it's habit, you know what I mean? But then you start to learn from your habits, yeah? So initially, like I say, I was doing it, I was like, I always think to myself, in every situation I turn it back to me, I think, if I was ill and I was poorly, what kind of people would I want around me? Would I want people that are constantly crying, upset, doom and gloom? Or would I want energy? Would I want vibes? Or would I want spirit? Would I want belief? I'd want belief. I'd want belief around me. You know what I mean? I want faith around me. And I was like, that's who I'm going to be for her. I thought, this girl's not going to know. This girl, all this little girl is going to see is smiles. All she's going to feel is energy. And you know what? What I seen the growth was like, my little girl was like more developed than other kids in her family at the same age. When you seen her, like she was like she was a toddler. She smiled, she was attentive, she knew what you were saying because of my energy around her. It wasn't just I spent a lot of time with her. The quality of time I spent with her was absolutely incredible. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So in that kind of situation, I thought that, I've just got to be this way for her. But in the end, it turned out like that by me giving everything I've got, by me creating this atmosphere, I had the best time of my life.
Amazing, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of the time in this world, you think like, you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, I've got to be selfless or, I've got to face this. I thought that that's what I had to face. I thought that it was going to be the hardest thing trying to stay positive. But by making that initial step into being positive, having belief, being selfless in a situation, and you know what, taking myself out of it for a second and putting someone else first, I ended up having the most magical time of my life, a time that I would give anything to go back and do. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That 8 months will live with me forever in eternity above anything else because of how special she was and because I know that I gave so much and, that's a bond that'll never be broken. So it started off selfless, but I gained something so beautiful from it.
Yeah, it's amazing that. Listen to you talk like that. The other thing you did was you put it on social media. A lot of people followed you. You've spoken earlier on the podcast about how important your support network of friends and family are. I just wanted to ask you about your social media, because you seem to have a real community of people that have been with you on this journey, particularly when you're looking for a donor. I mean, you'll be able to tell me the amount of people that stepped forward as donors and the support that you had. So I just wanted to ask you about that, because that was incredible to see, wasn't it? How many people were supporting you on this terrible journey that you were going on?
Yeah. There was two reasons why I shared the journey, and I shared it straight away. The two reasons were, on social media, right, you share what you're proud of, what your achievements, what you like, you show off. Man, I had the best thing to show off in my daughter. That she is all I wanted to show, because of how amazing she was, what she did for me. Secondly, I understood before we got into this, before we made the days into this situation, that this was going to be hard to accept. I knew that this was going to be mentally an absolute nightmare. Denial. It's not happening. It's not happening. I thought the only way that I can really submerge myself into this situation is if I post it and it's out there, it's real. I can't run away from it that way. I can't deny it that way. I have to acknowledge it. I have to accept it, and I have to move on with the actual reality that I'm in. So those were the two reasons I posted, you know what I mean? And it turned out that, I found out in that situation that, social media can be a very cynical place. Yeah. But then it gave me so much faith that this world is beautiful with so many beautiful people. People would follow, to see how Azalea is. The hospital was swarmed. That's to tell us, to try and tell people to stop sending presents. The whole hospital was full of presents just from people sending stuff for Azalea. Wow. We have to give them other people, so other kids have got toys. And then obviously when it came to the time of Azalea needing a donor, because of, I was, half Caribbean, half white. My partner was half Burmese, half white. It was a mix. So they were like, it's going to be hard to find a match. So instantly, I was like, Saf, you need to get in the hospital room. I need to go to the hotel. I'm starting a campaign. I'm getting it. We're getting a donor. She had, 80,000 people in one weekend, Saturday, Sunday, registered to be a donor, which was more than both of the donor companies have had in 3 years.
Wow.
Put together. And it went on to be, something like 200,000. Now,
incredible.
When you talk about, I'm going to talk about legacy now. I'm talking about legacy. When you start seeing stuff like this, so that's, I don't know how much that number is on now, but all of these people registered to be a donor for Azalea, and thank God she got a donor in the end, which helped prolong her life. But now there's over 200,000 people registered that can help 200,000 more people that may need it in the future.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Fucking legacy.
Sorry for swearing. And tons more. Just from understanding and knowing, one life in your daughter will save hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives. And what you're doing will do that.
And that's pretty powerful. I remember waking up one day and I looked at my phone and I was like, I didn't really look at messages. You're not really bothered. I remember one of my phones, my main phone, it just didn't turn on again. I just left it. I wasn't bothered. But one day I was on Instagram and I was like, Mom, Auntie, The Rock, blah, blah. And I was like, The Rock? And I was click on it, he's like, hey, brother. And I was thinking, what? And he's like speaking my daughter's name. I'm like, The Rock. I'm like, what is going on? Got Carmel Anthony from the Lakers. Then they're lighting Niagara Falls orange. They're lighting all these Wembley Stadium, Burj Khalifa. It was insane. And I looked at her and I used to always say to her, I used to think, God, I said, babe, I thought I was famous. I said, you absolutely blow me out the water. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're the star. And not only that is I'd say, now I get a lot of messages a day. I was probably getting 2,000 messages a day. I can't even say that number, but basically if I went like that and loaded, there'd be 100 new messages every second, These messages were people in a pandemic that were like, your daughter saved my life. You've saved my life. Watching what you're doing saved my life. I'm depressed. I suffer with depression. I've got mental health problems. I was suicidal. I was this. Your situations helped me put things into perspective and made me realize that maybe mine isn't that bad. And it was just insane to number one, for me to understand how amazing our community was, because it was a family.
Yeah.
I couldn't see my family then. So me having that social media presence was like, I had a family there. You know what I mean? Number two, it highlighted how many people out there were struggling. Yeah. So many people. And that was humbling, because I'm in this situation, but I realized that other people out in this world are struggling. I wasn't alone. Then number three, it was like, I was like, yo, my daughter's allowed me to be me, you know? And by being me, I'm not worried about anything apart from showing this journey how it is, being open, being honest, being authentic, being truthful, being transparent. And that's really helping people. I was like, this is insane. This is like saving people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned about it. It's crazy what you learn on the way and what happens, isn't it? And that's what made me think it was powerful. I thought Azalea is powerful because she's evoked something in me, which is, I'm far from the finished product or the perfect man, but I'm the best man I can be at this moment in time, and I'm working on being better, and I'm working on being better, and I'm working on being better. She evoked that in me. She's, put people on the donor list that are going to save hundreds of thousands of people. I'm getting up thousands of messages a day of like people saying how she's literally saved their life. I was like, wow.
That's very powerful.
Talk about inspiration.
Yeah.
Don't talk about me being an inspiration. I'm just literally a byproduct of that amazing little girl.
But you are an inspiration, though. And I think talking about the donors is one side. Seeing the people that are coming forward to you on social media is another side. What you're doing, what the foundation's doing, your family's doing, is absolutely inspirational. And how difficult was it or is it still to focus on that when you're also going through grief? Because, as you said, there will be a lot of people listening and watching this that are going through a lot. So how difficult is that for you to put all your energy into the foundation and helping others when you are dealing with grief yourself at the same time?
Okay. I mean, I don't know who I was speaking to before. Someone's seen the Troy Deeney podcast, the Troy Deeney episode.
The podcast, yeah.
So I don't really need to, that's a really hard moment to go through. But without going into too much detail, like, I got told, imagine, I got told that basically, you got to take Azalea home now. There's nothing else we can do. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, there is nothing we can do, She can't fly to Singapore to get the treatment that you wanted. She's got tumours in her brain now. She's got tumours in her brain. She's got tumours in her lungs. She's got tumours in her stomach. She's got tumours in her spleen. She's got tumours everywhere. And the cancer is growing with the chemotherapy. There's nothing you can do. So you gotta take her home. Enjoy it. Enjoy the last couple of days. I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? How can I take her home? Because I don't know how she's going to pass away. I don't know if she's going to bleed from the inside. I don't know if she's going to... In the end, she started bleeding from her eyes. She was crying. Blood was coming out of her eyes, everything. And when I talk about perspective, imagine all you want in this world is to know that your daughter can pass away peacefully in your arms. I was just asking God, let go peacefully and let be in my arms. And that's how she went, When you count the last breaths of your little princess, every other decision you have to make in life becomes relatively simple. I wake up, and this is what I'm saying about being truthful and transparent. Do you know what started this whole journey? It was the moment when I had to write my daughter's eulogy. Imagine writing your daughter's eulogy. That, I can't explain how difficult that was. Not only because it was emotional, but because it had to be right. It had to do her justice. And I had to be able to stand up there and say it with strength because I knew that she'd be watching, you know. And that eulogy made me realise of the person that I wanted to be going forward and what I wanted to do. And then so part of it was because my life with her was confined to a hospital room, I wanted to take her around the world. So, you know, on the first challenge that we did, that was purely because I wanted to start the journey, the length and breadth of the United Kingdom. And it turned out that not only did I take her there, but we raised so much money and so much awareness that I was like, you know what? In the love that I have for my daughter, it can help people from around this world. Yeah. That's why I say that love always conquers all. Love is my strength. She is my superpower, the reason why. So and another big thing is, I think we can't run away from our feelings and who we are. One big turning point for me was I started drinking. I was drinking a lot. I was drinking. And one morning I woke up and I literally was like, it made me upset because I just thought, if this is the daddy, if this is the man that my daughter's looking down at as her daddy, I feel ashamed. I literally feel embarrassed. I feel ashamed. I thought, I can't do this. I thought, and then that's when I had to reflect and look into myself. I thought, you know, if I was the one in heaven, yeah, and I looked down at my family, what would I want to see? I thought, would I want to see my family crying and moping around and, you know, wasting their life? Or would I want to see each one of my family turn into the best versions of themselves through the pain because they loved me that much and I inspired them that much? I thought, you can't honor anyone more than that. That through the pain, you can be the best version of yourself. So I was like, you know what, baby? It's go time. Let's get it. But that was hard for me to do. I had to look at myself in the mirror and look at myself and be like, you know what, Ash? Nah, it's not okay to be okay anymore. It's not. I had to look at myself and say, you know, you are being weak. You are not being accountable. You aren't being honest and truthful. And you're running away from the things that have happened to you, you know? And it was difficult. You know, I had to not only admit that to myself, but I had to admit that to the people around me. I thought that was important because I haven't got no skeletons in my closet no more. I had to tell the people around me what was happening and that maybe I wasn't being the right person. And once I did that, it was like all these things that I thought was going to be embarrassing and I thought it was going to whatever. As soon as I did it, everyone was just kind of like, I'm glad you told her.
Yeah.
And I thought, this actually isn't embarrassing. It's actually like, it is actually all right. And then in doing that, all that weight really relieved off my shoulders. And then I was able to, like I say, accept it, acknowledge it and go, okay then, boom. What are we going to do about it? Yeah. And from that moment on, I was like, the only person I need to answer anything to is the person in the mirror. I can fool you. I can fool people in this room. I can say that I'm okay, I'm rich, or I've ran 1,000,000 miles. I can do all of that kind of stuff to everybody else around me. But when I get home and I look in the mirror, I know my own truth. So I just began good at, you know, keeping the promises I made to myself, staying true to who I am, and, you know, not running away from anything, you know, attacking it. Be competent in doing what's necessary, because then you're not looking for all these external forms of validation, these nights out, these little gifts. You turn to doing the things that you need to do instead of that you want to do. And in turn, it builds that self-worth. Because for me, even something as simple as like going out today, I'll go out today after this and I'll probably run 15 miles. Do I want to do it? Nah. There's a lot of shit in this world that we don't want to do. Do I want to have a shower this morning? Really? Can't really be asked. But if I don't have a shower, I stink, innit? Some things you have to just do in life. So I know that by going on this run, I'm hurting, I'm aching, I do 7 days a week, I train like an absolute madman, I work like a madman, I do 18-hour days, I have 5 hours sleep. Yeah, but I know that there's no way after these 15 miles that I won't feel better than when I first started. So then guess what? You get it done because I start every day as a drunk so I can earn being a legend at the end of it.
Wow.
I think you have to be the hero of your own story. I purposely wake up in the morning and I look in him and I think, you drunk, you know, she'd be ashamed. And I think, you know what? Let's earn that respect. Let me be the hero of my own day. If I can be the hero of my own day today, I'll go to bed and be able to look forward to being a hero tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. I give myself a target every day to work towards, to earn, and I don't look back.
It's interesting, isn't it, that everyone on this podcast stories have been so different, but it was interesting hearing Ashley talking about when you speak to other people and how they let you in, but that perception that a lot of particularly young men have about talking, there's that perception that you don't want to show vulnerability, but Ashley's just proved it. That's actually a real strength, showing vulnerability, isn't it? Because people are always there to help. There's always someone there to help you.
Our vulnerability, it's our power, isn't it? Yeah, that's what makes us strong. You know, I'm sure you probably have never felt as strong as you feel right now. You know, because of the fact that you look in the mirror every day and you're like, I'm me. Yeah. You go out everywhere and you're like, I'm me. And that's as strong as position you can be in, is being yourself in every moment. Like being present in that and feeling that and being so honest, you know?
That's it. You know, they always say the truth will set you free. Yeah. You know, like denial will not help you in any warp of life. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
it doesn't help. When you played football, you know, you have to be truthful. You know, if you had a weak left foot, you had to understand that so you can work on it. You couldn't just be like, oh, I've got a left foot like Lionel Messi. It's going to be fine.
You're looking at Marvin when you said weak left foot. From the YouTube days.
Yeah, you understand? There's a few things I spotted, but yeah, we'll start with the left foot.
Not as quick as you, Paul. Not great in the air, but go on. I'm joking, mate.
But I think you have to be, like you say, vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength. But, you know, you have to be truthful. I think you have to be honest and you have to be truthful. Not so much for everyone else, for yourself, number one. You have to be brave enough, I think, to, you know, acknowledge your problems. And a great way of doing that is just speaking to someone. Yeah. Like, I think, what did I choose to do when my daughter was in that situation? I thought, I've got to put it out there because then there's no going back, you know? And that was a form of my counselling because I wasn't hiding it. You know, one of the main things is, like, before I came in here, I said, I don't need to know the questions that you're going to ask because I'll just answer them honestly because I've got nothing to hide from you guys. I think that's the thing. I think talking is great because it's a great first step in being able to truly understand your problems and accept them because you're prepared to tell someone else. And I think that the powerful thing about it is the person you're going to be talking to is going through their own problems. Yeah. And that's not only probably helping you, but it's probably helping the person that you're talking to as well. Do you know what I mean? And what I've always said is, you know, with my amazing community, there's a lot of people out in my amazing community that are great people, but they're struggling just like me. You know what I mean? So I say, like, you know, we're in this together. Yeah. And together we are stronger. And the sooner you can realise it, the better it will be.
Do you find in that community, you said a lot of people are struggling, and we have this with this podcast, there's so many people going through so many different situations. Do you find in your community that people struggle to talk, or is that first step really important? Is it an issue you find, particularly with young men, that they like to keep problems bottled up, or have you found that actually in your community a lot of people are very approaching?
I think especially, say, young men, find it difficult. But one of the beautiful things, like when I came in here today, you know, I was like, yo, don't shake my hand, give me a hug. Yeah. I just took that barrier straight away. You know that this is love. You know that you can talk to me. You know that when I see you, I'm going to hug you. Yeah. Since I've been like that and I've been open, honest and transparent, like the amount of geezers that literally just walk up to me in the street and ask me for a hug or want to talk to me. When I'm on my skydiving course, I can jump out of planes now. When I went there, you know, I had like people from the military like sitting down in tears, talking to me, hugging. I was hugging all these men every single day, paratroopers, everything. It was nuts. It just shows that everybody wants to be loved. Yeah. Everybody wants to be loved. We all want to be loved. Even my dad, as hard as he is, hard as nails, man. This guy wanted to be loved. It started with him. I had to start saying to my dad, yeah, I love you, making him feel uncomfortable. I had to start touching his hand, making him feel uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? But then after a bit of time and working towards it, the man gets excited when I go around now. And he wants a hug. He wants that embrace. It makes him feel good because all his life, all he wanted from his parents to know that he was loved. And I think that's a lot for all of us. I try and speak to everybody that I see, whether it's a cab driver, whether it's anybody, because you never know what someone's going through that day, right?
So true.
And a lot of people feel lonely in this. And, I think if each and every person that's listening to this, or that's going to listen to this, whatever, can take on the spirit that, you know what, if you can speak and have one positive thing or one positive experience with everybody that you see today, that'll pass it on. Imagine that chain effect. Imagine that domino effect. Imagine I make you feel loved today, then you make the next person, then you make the next person, and you do it, then everyone in this room goes out and does it. It's mad. It's crazy. That effect of knowing that you're not alone, that positive nature, that love, and that kind of environment that we can create, not in this room, but in this world, that, you know what, if you have got a problem, it's okay because someone else has as well, guess what? But by you sharing, you're helping yourself, maybe you're helping someone else. And one of the things and the reasons why I do the challenges that I do now, like this year I've got, the end of this month, I've got a 35-mile kayak race. The week later, I've got a 125-mile kayak race. The week later, I've got another 100-mile kayak race. The week later, I've got the London Marathon. Then in July, I'm doing a 1,000-mile kayak from Canada to the Arctic Circle to Alaska, which is the world's toughest survival endurance race, which there is fatalities, And I do this stuff, because I'm not happy with it's okay to not be okay. I'm not happy with it. It's okay to not be okay as long as you're prepared to do something about it. Now, a lot of men struggle with the fact that, opening up and being vulnerable. I do all this shit, not only to take my daughter around the world and to raise money, I do it to show people that no matter what you go through in life, you are strong enough to make it through. If I can go through what I went through and I can achieve this, you're strong enough to get up today. I also do it so that when we sit here and say, vulnerability is not weak, I just go, can you call me weak? Nah, I eat this shit every single day. I get it done with me talking, with me crying, with me sharing my stories, with me being vulnerable. I achieve stuff in this world that is 0.0000001%. So come try and challenge me on my theory. I back what I say with credentials. I back it with heart. I back it with effort. And I also back it with a point of trying to tell people out there, exercise saved my life and it can save yours.
It's amazing hearing some of the challenges you're doing, but also some of the challenges you've already done. I wanted to ask you about the foundation, because obviously we started at the start of the podcast. You talked about when you were a younger kid playing football, you didn't have much of a purpose. You've got an unbelievable purpose and legacy and inspiration now. So just tell us a bit about the foundation and what some of the great work it's doing.
The foundation is my life. I'll be honest, without the foundation, I'd find it difficult for me to want to be here anymore. It was important for us to set up the Azalea Foundation because I don't believe that any child should have to go through what Azalea went through. And I really, really don't want any other parent to be going through what I have to go through. So we set up the Azalea Foundation to continue the amazing legacy that Azalea started. The Azalea Foundation is there to, advance early diagnosis and treatment availability for these kids. Because childhood cancer receives less than 3% of cancer research funding. They say childhood cancer is rare, but it's the #1 killer of children in the UK. How can we... And I've identified that, this systemic problem, this broken system. How could I expect my daughter to survive and they're going, there's nothing else we can do if they have below 3% of funding? Imagine if, adult cancer or other things had less than 3% funding, their lives wouldn't get saved, would they? So it's important for us to advance early diagnosis, treatment availability, to really give these kids a fighting chance. I mean, we've just started the Azalea Network, which we're partners with Oxford University, Oxford Paediatrics, Birmingham Children's Hospital, University of Birmingham, UCL, Great Ormond Street Hospital, because we know that to really make a difference in this space, we have to be together. Together we are stronger. We have got the Azalea PhD fund, which is set up to bring, new talent and research into childhood cancer, which is absolutely incredible. We're actually, putting these people into the places where they've got the qualifications, they've got the knowledge, and they can really get onto this research to put people into childhood cancer, because there is a lack of people that want to go into that space because there is no funding. So how can we help? We also invest in new equipment. So we invest in revolutionary equipment that's never been to the UK before, which is being used in these hospitals and these labs now, which is amazing. We invest in new trials, to bring new treatment availability into childhood cancer. And one thing that was very passionate and was important for me and Saf, even though this isn't a contribution to curing childhood cancer, we understand the amazing support that we had from our community. That support from our community, in raising that huge amount of money gave us hope. So we still, donate to individual cases of children that can no longer get treatment on the NHS, to give them a chance at life, to give their family hope. We know that, some of the times that you can never know, even if you do give them money and they do get the treatment, whether their child will survive. Yeah, but I know how important it is on a baseline of having the hope that they've got another chance. You know what I mean? That they've extended their life by 6 months, a year. That actually the treatment's worked and their child's going to grow to be a ripe old age and outlive me and their parents and everything. It's absolutely amazing. And who'd have thought that, we could have achieved what we could have achieved with that foundation? Yeah. We gave $750,000 last year. We gave a shed load the year before. We're gonna contribute now. That in 2 years. It's not even been 2 years yet. Yeah. And that's purely because of heart. That's because we're not willing to turn our backs on these kids. We just want to use. Well, I know I do, and I know Sophia does. I just want to use the rest of my life now, to help, to save, and to affect as many people in this world in as much of a positive way that I can. Then, it started, inspired by Azalea, powered by the community, and all of the stuff we're doing now is just through heart. Yeah. Heart, hope, belief. And you know what? Never backing down, never quitting, because we've come too far and we've fought too hard to stop now, And it's something, one of these things is it means that the Azalea Foundation and what we're doing for these kids means that much to me that it's just I'm prepared to die for it, That's how much it means. That's the honest truth. I give up Christmas. Christmas Eve, cycled 100 miles. Christmas Day, cycled 100 miles. Boxing Day, cycled 100 miles. Raised £30,000 for these 2 kids that needed treatment. I didn't have a Christmas. Wow. Birthdays, Azalea's birthday, I do something on these mad occasions. This is what I had to say to someone else. When it was Azalea's anniversary, first year anniversary, imagine what kind of day that's going to be. And all I'm going to say is, a lot of people, they go, be gentle with yourself, Ash. Be gentle with yourself. If I sat back on that day and I sat at home, I would just be broken. And I'd not only be broken that day, I'd be broken the next day, I'd be broken the day after that, and I'd be in this monotonous cycle of brokenness. I chose on my daughter's anniversary to run 109 miles from her resting place to Trafalgar Square in London to the Lions, because she's a little lion. I ran 109 miles with 2.5 months training on the hardest emotional day of the year, where I was riddled with sadness, depression, trauma, anxiety, all of these things. But I had a purpose. I realized that, today isn't about me. I cannot feel sorry for myself today. I've got to make her proud. I've got to continue her legacy today. I've got to not let this little girl's passing be in vain. I still want to be the best daddy in the world, because I believe that she's up there, she's watching down on me. I believe that, I have to put in as much effort as I can now to being the best person that I can be, to help as many people as I can, in the hope that at the end I've earned my steps to see her again. So on these occasions, how do you do it, Ash? It's relatively easy. I just get up and get it fucking done. Because, you know, of what I want. I want to see her again. I want to help people. And in order to do that, sometimes you can't turn up to your pity party every day. Sometimes you have to put things into perspective and go, let's have it. You know, and that's what I kind of want to breed into a lot of people. I think, you know, I'm not Superman every day. You know, there is a lot of days that I feel down. There's more days that I feel really low than I feel good, you know. But I just want to encourage people that, yeah, we need to talk in this world, but it's okay to not be okay as long as you're prepared to do something about it. And I want to bring a community and a united community of people that are willing to fight, that are willing to not only help themselves, but to help the man next to them, that are willing to push to the next day, because you don't have to be 100% every day. You just need to show up every day. Life, I don't seek happiness in life. Life, you know, there's no such thing as happiness. There are happy moments, there are happy memories, and there are happy places, yeah? You're never gonna seek this full, happy, peaceful, bliss life, because there's so many things on a day-to-day basis that are just gonna go bang and hit you. What I seek now is fulfillment, which for me is worth a lot more than happiness, you know, and fulfilling myself every day, fulfilling the person I wanna be every day, fulfilling, you know, my urge to help other people, man, that's worth more to me than happiness. And in the end, you know, all I want to do, man, is just lie there. You know, I don't know how old I'm going to be. It could be next year. It could be when I'm 80. It could make it to 120 and I could still be running. Who knows? But just on that last day when I know, I just want to go, smile. Because I'll be happy where I'm going and I'll be at peace with what I've achieved. You know, I'm going to say something before. I know we've got to wrap up, yeah? In life, right, when I say we give ourselves a lot of options, trust me, when I'm on the sofa, yeah, you know, we all get there on the sofa, like, oh, my life, and this and that, we can be like that, yeah? I do it. And when I'm depressed on that sofa, I'll go out on the river and I'll kayak for 7 hours. I'll kayak for like from 11:30 at night in the pitch black, yeah, till 6:30 in the morning, yeah? Because guess what? When I go back into my house, yeah, that sofa looks good. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
When I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh God, I've got to get up and I've got to go and come and do an interview today. You know what, yeah? I'll go and run 25 miles, yeah, and I'll batter myself, because then the next time I'll come and sit on this interview, I'm like, yo, I get to sit down. This is sweet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean, yeah.
Sometimes in life, yeah, you have to step outside of your comfort zone and push yourself a little bit. Not only so you can reward yourself and so you can feel competent and strong and that you know what you've done it, but also so you can appreciate the little things that are around you. You know what I mean? Also, we don't know how powerful a smile is. You know, when I'm there like this, and I'm, you know, I've got torn bicep, torn calf, torn quad, torn trap, and I'm like this, yeah. Sometimes I'll just go, yo, Ash, smile. And I smile, yeah. And it's just like, it just gets a whole lot nicer.
Easier, yeah.
There's just little things that you can do and tell yourself and just do on a day-to-day basis and just do it. Build it. Build it like a house. You know, see your mental health as like this house, and it's just brick by brick, step by step. Thinking to yourself, what little necessary things can I do today to make myself feel better? How can I feel more capable? How can I build more self-worth? How can I build more self-confidence? How can I build what's internally so then I can radiate strength, greatness, help and encouragement for others?
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's the perfect note to end. Actually, I just want to say, you are one of the most inspirational people I think I've ever met. That hearing your story and what you've been through, but also what yourself, the foundation, your family is doing is just absolutely mind-blowing. And sorry if I got a bit emotional during it, mate, but it's brilliant having you on the podcast. Thank you very much.
Listen, men cry too. Don't worry about it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers.